Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's 2-0 defeat yesterday against Southampton at St Mary's. Everton's unbeaten run ending in quite dramatic fashion yesterday with what was a really poor performance. We just didn't show up whatsoever. We didn't show any intensity. There was no urgency. There was no energy. It was just a really flat performance. And I think I said in my instant match reaction, look, again, before I say this, I'm not in any way, shape or form saying I'd rather lose to Liverpool than Southampton. But if we'd have lost the Merseyside derby last week in the last minute, at least you could have sat there and said we showed some fight. There was a bit of passion. We got back into the game twice and, we lost unfortunately. But this one, you can't say any of that about. We just weren't in the game whatsoever. We looked so poor. It was very reminiscent of the Southampton performance towards the back end of last season, to be honest, which we all sort of sat here last week and thought we wouldn't see because of the new players that were brought in and because of the momentum that we had and the form that we were currently on. But we were just completely overrun in the middle of the park. Obviously we had Richarlison missing, Ben Godfrey come in at right back and I think struggle positional wise. I don't want to go in on Ben Godfrey too much because he's a young centre back playing out of position, but he did struggle. Let's have it right. We massively missed Seamus Coleman. Alex Iwobi come in at left midfield, just doesn't do the same job that Richarlison does, and therefore, James' game was cut out slightly. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's game was cut out. Digne had a really poor game, which you don't often see. There wasn't many good performances, if any, in an Everton shirt yesterday. It was just a really bad day at the office, and it's okay us sitting there. We're joined by Tom, T-Logic 1991, as per usual. Tom is a permanent fixture of the channel now, so big thanks to Tom for joining us. But, it's okay us sitting here and saying, it's an isolated performance and it's a one-off and it was a bad day at the office, and that's fine, and that's absolutely acceptable if we go out against Newcastle next weekend and blow them away and turn up and have absolutely no crap whatsoever and win that game comfortably. If we don't, then this doesn't become an isolated situation. But of course we don't know about the Newcastle performance or result yet because it's at this weekend, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the back end of the live stream. But how are you, mate? It was a bit of a shocker yesterday, wasn't it? We spoke last week about what could be if we don't turn up, and if the players that come in for the likes of Richarlison and what we thought would be James at that time didn't put in a performance to really stake their claim in the team. We spoke about the dangers, and our nightmare sort of came true yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible to say, but it was another going through the motions, typical Everton game, weren't it? Just early kick-off, they just didn't want to know. It was reminiscent of the Tottenham game last year, where they just didn't want to be there, did they? None of them seemed to be firing. Looked dead lethargic, I thought. No energy at all in midfield. Nothing on the wing. I mean, don't want to bash, like you said, don't want to bash Godfrey too much. He weren't really doing any overlapping runs for James, but in the same breath, I don't think he could really do that, because as I've noticed, and as probably other fans have noticed, that James is a bit of a liability defensively, and this is why I think he should be a lot better being in the midfield,
in the centre,
midfield three. I mean, look, you've got a Iwobi, and listen, he is a good player, but he's just not producing, is he? And there's only so many times you can put him on the pitch, and if he's not going to do it, then what else can you do? I thought Skeerton was all right first 5-10 minutes at the bar. I thought he looked a bit good, and then he just become obsolete, really, didn't he? He didn't really look like anything in the midfield. No creativity from him, legs none there. And listen, he done all right, Ancelotti, to change it, but he could have brought Messi on for all I care, and we still wouldn't have done nothing. I just think it was one of them games. You move on, and hopefully it doesn't reoccur. But
well, that's it, isn't it?
That's
it. You look at it, the performance yesterday, and I tried to not beat myself up too much about it, because this season you think of we've played 6 games, won 4, lost 1 and drawn 1, and if you'd looked at the Premier League fixtures at the start of the season prior to the Tottenham game and said, look, out of your first 6 games you're going to win 4 of them, draw 1 and lose 1, the Southampton game probably wouldn't have been one you'd have pointed out to lose. So we've done very well this season, and I do think it's important to not beat ourselves up too much about it. know, I've seen a couple of people who you know, were massively beaten up about it on social media yesterday, and I think it's important that we don't do that because we can bounce back, and the hope is that we will bounce back against Newcastle at the weekend. Like you said, the biggest disappointment for me was the lack of any real fight or urgency yesterday. Again, you're never going to go an entire season winning every single game, and equally, it's, you know, you could say it's more important that we bounce back next week. If we bounce back against Newcastle and win 3 or 4-0 and absolutely blather them off the park, then you look at this game and go, right, okay, we've lost the game, which was always going to happen, but it was then about how we react to losing that game of football. But obviously we'll have to wait and see how that comes off. But like I said, it was just the lack of urgency, and like you mentioned, it was very similar to the Tottenham game. We just had nothing, and we were bypassed completely in the midfield, which was slightly worrying considering we had the likes of Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré in there, Gylfi Sigurdsson, who'd come in obviously because Andre Gomez wasn't performing to get his opportunity. And again, it was another game specifically for Alan for the start, which I thought he struggled in a little bit. I'm a little bit worried at the moment about Alan because obviously he picked up that knock against Brighton, come in against Liverpool, didn't start well whatsoever, and didn't really start well yesterday. He just looks a little bit out of fitness.
Yeah, you're all right. He does seem a little bit half a yard behind, doesn't he? He doesn't seem... It looks like he is carrying an injury.
Exactly. He doesn't seem like the Alan we saw against Brighton or West Brom covering every blade of grass. He seems like you said, he's half a yard behind the play.
I think with Alan though, I think he was a bit left out to dry because the way Southampton set up in a 4-4-2, that midfield, he didn't really have anyone to pick up in a sense. I mean, I know their first goal, I think, was a Sigurdsson let him go, I think it was either one of them that let him go and let him run through, and it was dead easy. But I think the 3 that we played in midfield, I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think we could have went just 4-4-2 straight up against them, or tried to switch it to a 4-2-3-1
with Hammers behind,
where we could get it close to DCL and try and get Doucouré and Alan just on Ward-Prowse and Romeo. So I think it was a little bit of a thing there because, as I say, it's showing what a massive player Richarlison is for us, isn't he? He's such an outlet ball to us on that left hand side. He's more of like a target man, where up against these full-backs, he's just dominant, isn't he? And it showed. He's got brilliant progressive runs and dribbling wise, and he can attack space. And unfortunately, Iwobi's just not that type of player.
No, I agree, and you're spot on. It's the title of the live stream. The title is "This Result Shows How Vital Richarlison Is to Everton," and we didn't just lack Richarlison's ability on the ball and his directness going forward, but James Rodriguez's game was nullified without Richarlison being there. Luca Digne's game was nullified. Luca Digne had a shocker. We'll talk about the red card a little bit later on, but taking away the red card, he was poor yesterday. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had nothing that come into him, and we know Dom's a striker that's been on fantastic form, and if you give him opportunities he will score, but he's not the type of striker that's going to go out the way and pick the ball up 30 yards out and take 4 players on and slot it. He's not that type of player. He needs that he needs that creativity around him and people putting it in for him, and he can do the hard work once it gets to him, but if he's got no service he's going to struggle.
Sorry, just on Calvert-Lewin, I thought he had a very quiet game. I know, listen, you can't. He's immune apparently from getting criticised at the moment, isn't he? Because he just scores goals. But his whole general play yesterday was non-existent. I know that you like you say, you need creativity, but you need to at least put a shift in. This is what I'm saying. Like the 2 of them centre halves, they didn't need a shower at the end of the game. They had never put a sweat on. They looked very, very comfortable. And the one thing that I want to start seeing Dom do is start making runs in behind and taking these centre halves out wide, because he's got the pace and physicality to do it, and he can do people on the wings. We've seen it before where he has done people. It's just I just needed something more from me striker, and I mentioned on Twitter where like a backup would have been probably perfect in that situation, where we're struggling there. Like, if Dom's not on form or Dom's not scoring, it's a bit hard to just to keep him in the team. You've got to have these options off the bench. Where I know Moise Keane's gone, but maybe it would have been a good thing to bring him on. You don't know really, do you? But That's one thing I think maybe could be an issue, because like we've said in the summer and all that, it's about competition. Some lads have a day off. It's just some lads do it, don't they? You know what I mean? And listen, if Dom has a poor game or he's not far and he knows he's playing next week, and we had this issue last year with Luca Digne, and we had with Sigurdsson, we had it all, and all of a sudden their places are at risk. I want him to have this competitive edge where he's on the like elite level with Kane, and this is the aspirations we need from or want.
Spot on.
We've got to have these for our players, otherwise we're just going to be mediocre.
Spot on. I've actually got it written down here, the lack of sort of replacement for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Like you mentioned then, Dom's going to have games this season where he's quiet and he just can't get into the game, and he struggles to pick the ball up and to run with it, and in those situations, in those games, you do need somebody to come on. Yesterday would have been a perfect game to have another striker come off the bench who picks the ball up and runs at defenders. Doesn't necessarily need to be as good as Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the air or as technical, but just somebody that picks it up and runs at defenders and forces things. The only player we had that come on and look direct was Anthony Gordon. He was the only player that seemed to want to create chances in that game, and I know James sort of, dipped in and out and tried, but because he didn't have that long ball onto Richarlison, he struggled. Because Luca Digne wasn't making those bursting runs every time Iwobi got the ball again. I don't think Iwobi's a bad footballer, but every time the ball come to him, he was just taking far too long to do anything with it, and by the time he got it down,
he's a number 10.
He's not a winger. He's not a winger. 10.
No, not even a day of Sunday. He's just, listen, I thought in that sort of formational system, the only place to put him really is the left side, so he can cut in. But
he takes too long, doesn't he? By the time he's decided, the defender's got over.
He's dead. How can you win? He's just dead. Not lackadaisy. He just goes through the motions, doesn't he? He's just one of them players that I think in my head he need like 20 minutes, but from Sunday he needed about a week, 2 weeks to get going, didn't he? I'm plus it's not really. You can't really point to
the whole team. You're spot on. We were dreadful. Like I said, there's not many Everton players that you looked at on Sunday and thought, you know what, you've had a really decent game there. Anthony Gordon done okay when he come on, but ultimately didn't create anything. Bernard was given 45 minutes and done nothing. Like I said, Alex Iwobi given his big chance, didn't really impress. Sigurdsson, okay, first 5 or 10 minutes, but tailed off massively. The defence had a poor game. Like I said, Luca Digne for me had a poor game. Ben Godfrey really struggled. Dom was completely out of it. It was just an overall bad performance. Like we mentioned before, we were overrun massively in the midfield, which is the biggest worry when you look at the line. You think, well, is he picking up a knock? Is he picking up an injury? You looked at James Rodriguez, and for the last 20 minutes yesterday, James Rodriguez was signalling to Ancelotti to say, he wasn't comfortable on the pitch, but because we'd already made all 3 substitutions, and we'd already had a sending off, and we were at 10 men at that point, he had to play on. So James Rodriguez was playing the last 15-20 minutes at least with an injury, which isn't ideal, obviously. It was, I suppose it is a bad day at the office. Like I said, it's only deemed as a bad day at the office if we turn up next week and we win. But it was, it was a poor performance, and it was a poor result. Ultimately, we allowed them, too much time on the ball. We allowed them to create, and they targeted massively down that right-hand side of Everton, didn't they? They targeted Ben Godfrey an awful lot in that first half, and even prior to them scoring their opening goal, and then, a few minutes later scoring the second, and then ultimately a third, which was ruled out. They had 2 or 3 very, very clear opportunities down that right-hand side, didn't they? I mean, Ben Godfrey obviously come in, and like I said, we don't want to sit here and slander him because he's a young centre-back who was playing out of position, and he did do okay in the Merseyside derby when he come in. He played well, but you could tell that Southampton had looked at Everton's team sheet and gone, he's new to the side for the start, and he's a centre-back playing out of position, target him. And positional-wise, he struggled. And Bruno says in the comments, not just Richie Can we missed, it was Coleman down the right as well. I said this in the preview. I said, look, we know we're going to miss Richarlison. It's nailed on. He's one of the best young players in world football. You're bound to miss him if he's not on your team, especially when you're not bringing in a like-for-like replacement. But we cannot underestimate the impact that Seamus Coleman's had this season on the team, leadership-wise, positional-wise, just overall defensively. He's done really, really well. And we missed that, didn't we? What did you make of Godfrey's performance? Again, like I said, we don't want to sit here and go in for him, but he was caught out massively out of position, wasn't he, a couple of times, and they targeted that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he was very inexperienced, and it showed him when you don't get help from your winger, it's going to be a long day at the office, really. And yeah, at times he did struggle, but I think the whole
Yeah.
back line played poorly, in my opinion. I thought Michael Keane got caught
Yeah.
out quite a few times, getting dragged out to where Ings, where he was dropping back in, and Keane was going, and he didn't know whether to go. He got pulled out the wing as well, and this is what I'm saying. Them two lads up front played really well off each other. And I think Ward-Prowse had a very good game. He was just a constant runner, and you couldn't really sort of pick him up, could you? He couldn't work him out. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's one of them. You can't really blame him specifically. Listen, he's had 2 games, one's being the Merseyside derby and one's being away at Southampton. But I do think this is just showing it what we suspected in the summer, where Everton couldn't do everything all at once in the summer. So
no, I was just going to say, and the question always was, well, okay, we can be fantastic with our first starting 11, but what happens when players come out? And that wasn't, that was 2 players, Seamus Coleman and Richarlison. That could have been James as well. It's now Luca Digne next week. I know Carlo Ancelotti said that they're going to appeal a red card. I think we both agree it wasn't a red card. It was given by the media. But, despite what we think, I don't think it's getting overturned. I just can't see them overturning it.
No,
so
not a chance. Not a chance they'll do that, because then that just shows you what the intent was. Listen, we all knew it. Listen, as soon as that game started, I think Everton got about 3 or 4 yellow cards, and every time. Listen, the previous before that, I think Redmond's done one on us, on one of our players.
No.
Never even took a blind bit of notice of it. And listen, it was coming.
It was inevitable.
We just knew it. It was inevitable. It was absolutely inevitable. But that doesn't hide from the fact of such a poor performance. This is the one thing that really irritated me about it, was the fact that we had all our issues from the derby, and then they come out and put a performance in like that. You thought that it'd get them going, wouldn't you? And just be like, listen, we don't care. Everyone's against us. That mentality. Exactly. So, and it just never happens. And listen, we're not the finished article, unfortunately. We're not going to go all year all season unbeaten, which we want to do. But we're going to have these games. But let's hope now that come Newcastle, that it's a completely different mentality. And listen, you've got Nkunku there, which I'm really looking forward to see. I think he's one who's going to be really interesting. But just going back to the summer transfers. I mean, look, listen, we got rid of Walcott, and all say about Walcott, I think we missed something, that sort of runner, didn't we, in behind, that bit of direction, whether he'd have done it or not. I just think we've got rid of players and we haven't replaced that sort of profile. But I think we're in one of them teams, aren't we, in transition, where we've started well, but I think come January, maybe come next summer, or next season, after next summer's transfer window, you're going to see the real
definitely spot on. And you're right there about the transfer window. We left it very open, but it was at a time when we'd beat Tottenham away from home. I think we'd beaten West Brom. We'd won a couple of Carabao Cup games. We were in fantastic form. So on deadline day, when Moise Keane left, on the Sunday, and Theo Walcott left, we all, there was a bit of, well, aren't we going to replace them? Aren't we going to bring somebody in? Isn't somebody like a Josh King in? But we were all sort of under this bubble of, well, we're winning games of football and Dom's in great form. And it shows, look, ultimately, you can't be having just, we didn't have a striker on the bench yesterday. You can't be having that, no matter how well Dom's playing. For example, Dominic Calvert-Lewin could have scored an hat-trick yesterday and picked up a bad injury in the 79th minute. Who comes on to replace him? Who plays there on, next weekend against Newcastle? And I know Carlo Ancelotti built it as he's got his forward line, and he's got the likes of Iwobi who can play in there, and Bernard, and he listed the attackers that could be versatile. But the reality of the situation is, Iwobi isn't a like-for-like replacement for Richarlison. Bernard had 45 minutes and didn't do anything, didn't impress, wasn't direct enough. And I agree with you, Theo Walcott isn't the greatest footballer in the world, but he would have chased, he would have ran at people. We saw that in the Watford game last season. Last minute of the Watford game, it's 2-2, and Theo Walcott's making an absolute blister and run. down that wing. Now, there's not many Everton players that would have gambled on Moise Kean absolutely fluffing his lines there. They'd have looked and gone, he's one-on-one, so I'll sit back. If he misses it, it's on him. But Theo Walcott, absolutely puts a blister and running, gambling on the fact that Moise Kean's either not going to hit it or it's going to ricochet, and we just didn't seem to have any of that yesterday. Like you mentioned, we started poorly. The defence was poor all game for me. We had a couple of scares down that right-hand side where they got the ball into our box far too easily. I think Nathan Redmond had a header early on which just sailed past Jordan Pickford's post, and you're sort of thinking, these have got a lot of the ball. We're not looking interested. We're not looking involved in the game. It seemed like it was only going to be a matter of time before they hurt us. Oriol Romeo has a shot from outside the box. Jordan Pickford makes a good save, and it literally looked like the ball had went out for a throw-in and everyone had just reset and we just weren't awake whatsoever. They throw it in. It's far too easy through the midfield. I think it goes through Gylfi Sigurdsson's legs. Luca Digne gets completely the wrong side of James Ward-Prowse and he hits it across the goal. I've seen a couple of people criticising Jordan Pickford for that goal, and I don't know whether that's just because whenever we concede now, Jordan Pickford gets it, no matter how bad of it, no matter how good of a goal it was. For me, that's on the midfield and Luca Digne for being the wrong side of his man and allowing that to happen so easily after we'd just had a scare as well. Jordan Pickford had pulled out a good save 10 seconds later from the throw-in we've conceded. That should never, ever be the case. It was sloppy, wasn't it? And it summarised the start of the game, didn't it?
Should never even get it. They should never have even got a shot off, let alone got there. Like, how's he even got there? I mean, I think it was from top of my head, I'm sure Alan left them or Sigurdsson left them, and the other lad just watched them, and then he plays
Michael
like a simple
Keane,
ball through Michael Keane's legs. Yeah, and he's square on, and he just plays him in, and Dean's just the wrong side of him, isn't he? And he doesn't even make like a blister and run. He just trots through. And listen, if anyone's blaming Pickford for that, you're talking utter nonsense. He's hit it, bottom bin, going away from the keeper, and it swerves. It absolutely swerves. And listen, fair play to Ward-Prowse. I think he's been very good the last season and this season. I think I'll be surprised if he's not more in the England team. But it was just right time for them to play, as I thought. So I think, but the only scary part is that we were all questioning last week, and we had a conversation about it. Can these lads who are on the periphery of the team step up?
That's
and
it.
We've just shown they can't. So that's it.
The spot on. Completely agree. And that was, again, I keep saying that's the most disappointing thing, but that was one of the most disappointing things from yesterday, is that when we've seen Sigurdsson come off the bench in the last 15 minutes of a game, he's looked really bright. When we've seen Alex Iwobi come off the bench, he's looked good, he's had the ball, he's consoled it well, he's done well against Liverpool, albeit he was only on for 10 minutes, and you sort of, it was going to go one of two ways, wasn't it? They were either going to come on and really, really take their opportunity and perform like they'd been doing when coming off the bench, or revert back to type last season and just not seem interested. And it was the latter, and that is really unfortunate, because that puts Carlo Ancelotti in a situation now where he won't want to be. Carlo Ancelotti will have wanted to be sitting there come 2 weeks when Richarlison's back for selection and thinking, yeah, but Alex Iwobi's been absolutely fantastic the last 2 weeks. How can I take him out? Whereas based on that game, and I know there's still a couple of games for Iwobi if he plays, or Gordon or Bernard to impress, but based on that game, it's an easy decision. I mean, it's an easy decision for me anyway, because we lack so much without Richarlison, but Carlo would have wanted the headache, and he wasn't given a headache yesterday, and that is a worry, because now we know that if we haven't got our full strength team, if we haven't got the midfield firing on all cylinders and 100% fit, if we haven't got James 100% fit, if Richarlison isn't in there, then we're going to struggle in any game of football. I know Southampton are a decent side, don't get me wrong, but we made it so easy for them yesterday, and it wasn't long after the first one that we conceded again, was it? I mean, they continued to get in the box, they continued to press. I think this one arguably frustrated me the most, because when you watch it again, Che Adams just seems to have about 45 minutes on the ball. I mean, he stutters about 4 times before he hits it. He then hits it, it deflects off Sigurdsson, so again, nothing Jordan Pickford can do, and it goes in. But again, it's a simple ball into the box. It's a player left alone on the back post, and like I said, it's not like he smacks it first time. It's not like Salah's goal last week where Mina makes a mistake, but literally within a millisecond of Mina making a mistake, it's in the back of the net because it's a great finish. Che Adams literally had about 40 seconds to line this one up, and he picked the spot, and it went in, and nobody seemed to go, oh my God, I've got to chase him down, or I've got to get at him, or he should have been standing there anyway. It was another poor defensive goal to concede, and we haven't seen many bad defensive performances this season, Tom, but this was one.
No, they got stretched, didn't they? And I think Digne got brought in centrally, and I think it was Sigurdsson who was trying to cover. And listen, I don't want to bash him, but the header to Digne, it was just embarrassing for me. I mean, how he's just tried to just literally jump. He's never getting it, and he knows it. So why not just take a step or a yard back and just clear it, or just at least make it difficult for him to get a shot off? He's jumped, and then he's made himself 3 or 4 yards away, and then he's panicked. That's all he's done. He's panicked and just threw his body out the way, and guards just ran it. I mean, Pickford would have caught it. In my opinion, it would have been a straight easy thing. But listen, I'm trying to work out in my head. I'm trying to just off the top of where was Iwobi on that, because from my
I don't think he was in the box.
Back, did he?
I can't.
I don't even think. Yeah, I'm trying to work in my head where he was, and that's one thing where you normally think at the back post, and if Dean's been brought in, where's Iwobi to sort of help him out there? But anyway, I thought Skirton was poor in that. I thought that the general centre backs were poor. I thought he got stretched out. I mean, first time I thought he was all right, Keane, but I thought Danny Ings gave him a little bit of a run around. He didn't know really what to do with him. I thought for Ings to drop back into the midfield and start being on the move, he didn't really know how to deal with him. And I thought Mina was busy with Che Adams, weren't he? So the two of them had them covered, and I just don't think we just got going. There was no. That's the one thing I think Ancelotti needs to be more like aware of, is that how can he get these players motivated? The top of the league
hasn't lost.
They're away. They've just had an absolute they've just had an absolute bashing by the press, calling us dirty now. Apparently Everton are a dirty team.
Only team to throw in a tackle, mate. That's the only tackle ever to be in football.
Well, the nuts thing is that one of our fellas broke a leg, and Seamus Coleman was hugging the fella who broke his leg.
I've seen about 4 leg breaks at Goodison, but we're the dirty team.
You know, it's just mind-boggling. But for me, if I was a player, my motivation would be like, lads, these are all against us. Let's go do these. And we just never stepped up, and hopefully. That's just a blip.
Fingers crossed, and again, like I said, this whole conversation changes if we go out next week and beat Newcastle. We sit here and we go, well, in a lot of ways, we were always going to lose, but it was about how we react, and if we react well, then, again, not saying it's irrelevant because it's still a loss, but we can take much more out of it. If you're not enjoying the live stream, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Don't forget to share it on social media. Let's try and get as many people involved as possible. We will get in the live comments shortly. Check out Tom's links in the description as well. Follow Tom on all of the social medias. But yeah, like you said, it was too easy. I think Che Adams and Danny Ings really give Michael Keane and Yerry Mina a hard game. The Armstrong as well could have had a third 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Thought he played well. They just weren't.
No, it was just too easy, and again it was completely the opposite to the type of Everton performances that we'd seen prior to the international break, where we were picking men up constantly and nobody had any free time, nobody had any free space on the ball. Southampton were just allowed to pick the pass, constantly get forward, break us down, get the ball in the box, create chances. If it didn't work, revert back and create another one. And again, they did. 10 minutes later, they get down the wing, and I think it's Che Adams is just slightly offside, but he puts a ball into the box. There's nobody marking Che Adams. He completely runs off his man. Granted, he's slightly offside, but if he wasn't, he completely runs off his man, ball straight into the box, and it's a good finish by Armstrong, don't get me wrong, but again, he's left there on his own to simply it reminded me of one of them classic FIFA goals where everybody just gets dragged to the ball and then you put it to the fella in the box and there's nobody there and they just slot it. Although it was offside, it was another shocker, wasn't it? And at that point, usually when the opposition score and it gets ruled off for offside or a foul or whatever, point in question last week against Demler in the last minute, you're usually like, oh, thank God for that, get the motivation now. But on this one, I was just like, we've just been absolutely outdone once again, and I don't, even though it's been ruled offside, I don't see any way back into the game for us.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting overloaded really very badly on the right-hand side on Godfrey. I did feel sorry for Godfrey because he just had no protection at all, did he? I mean, I think the whole setup and system what Ancelotti puts out for is for Decore to do the legs for James Rodriguez, and
No.
he weren't doing it, was he? He looked a little bit of a headless chicken, in my opinion. He just didn't know who to pick up, where to go. I thought the three of them in midfield didn't know what their jobs were or who to pick up. Listen, it was reverting back to Sigurdsson pointing again, weren't it? And listen, I thought, and I don't know why I did. I just thought he'd take his chance, Sigurdsson. I don't know why I done it. Thought it. I don't know. I must have forgot the last 3 or 4 years he's been at the club. But the way he was playing before, and you thought, hold on, he could be something good here, and nothing. I mean, Bernard, me personally, I'd let him go to Saudi Arabia tomorrow for nothing. I think he's just gone. I mean, the bright spark for me, I know he only done a few things, but
I was just about to say, the only, and this probably is, in fact, it definitely is the only positive to come out of this game is Anthony Gordon might get a start on the weekend.
Yeah. I thought he was very good at he done a lovely little move where he sort of sent the lad one way and took it the other, and progressed the ball carried it right through to there against their defence. But when he did do that, there was no movements. This is what I'm saying with Richarlison. I think this is what he brings. He brings movements. So with the Iwobi and all that, they're very stagnant. They don't really do these sort of runs in behind, or sort of, they always want it to feet, they always want it in front of them, they don't want to go in behind players. This is what I think we're missing now at Everton, and especially when Richarlison isn't playing. So I think hopefully next week against the likes of John Joe Shelby and Hayden, I think it is, their midfield at the moment, I think they're a little bit not as much legs as what Southampton showed us, so maybe we could get a better foothold in the game. But has anything come out about James?
No, nothing yet. Which I can't tell if it's a positive or a negative. I think the club will probably be a little bit hesitant on saying anything about James in case he miraculously comes back and then Ancelotti gets. It was mad the other day. I seen people, he's been caught out to be a liar. Lost all respect for Ancelotti. What kind of player be one day and then recover the next day?
That's just mate, did you hear Paul Joyce?
What an absolute idiot. The funniest thing about that was it wasn't even meant to be live. The club kept the back end of the stream live by accident. And
point scorer. Yeah, fair play to them. Points. I was a manager. What are you point scoring about? He's backing a player who's been fucking absolutely.
And he was only saying the truth. He was asked the question. He said the truth.
Yeah, well, I think. Listen, me personally, I thought it was an absolute disgrace that Hasenhüttl was putting it in, and this is what I'm saying. It was all built up to watch Everton players, and Ralph Hasenhüttl just played on that. Absolutely played on it, and he come out as well, didn't he? And said, "Oh, he went for Lucas Digne went for him at the first attempt." Listen, you're talking nonsense. I seen at one point, I think, I don't know whether it was Godfrey on the line, it was Alan, I think. And he just misses the player, but it was nothing, and he's screaming like he's just shot him, didn't even touch him. So I think this is what the media have built up, and I think this is what Everton fans should expect, because every manager will look for an advantage when they're playing Everton, and that's the main advantage. And fair play to Jamie Redknapp, by the way, and come out and said it's utter nonsense, and if that's a red card, then the game has officially gone. Because he has not meant that. He hasn't meant that at all, mate. Listen, people are coming out saying he sort of overstretched his leg.
If you watch that in real time, he literally just catches up to him, and it's unfortunate. What are you meant to do? Not chase your man back? Not run back for the ball? Can we not run anymore?
He knows. Well, that's it. He knows that it's going to be a collision.
He holds his hands up before he gets to it.
He's clocked the crisscrossing, so there's going to be a collision, right? He puts his hand up and he goes like that, and in his stride, the worst thing about it is that his boot catches his sock, and his foot takes it. It looks like he's dragged his heel. He hasn't. His foot just got stuck in his sock. That was literally all it was. There was no sort of impact sort of tackle against it. There was nothing. And I just knew. Well, listen.
No, I knew he was going. I knew he was going.
Did you? Couldn't get that red card
and it also
quick
didn't
enough,
go.
did he?
Well, it wasn't
He couldn't.
checked by VAR, I don't think, or it wasn't. Certainly wasn't put out there on the television that it was checked by VAR, or that it was like accepted, and it's like.
Yeah, well, you've got people on Twitter now and who have finally brought themselves out to be Reds, haven't you? And you're thinking that they're trying to make out like Everton players are intentionally going out to hit.
Yeah.
I've never heard.
I seen one today on TalkSport, which sorry, mate, carry on. I'm just gonna get it up.
I mean, well, funny thing is, I can't remember the name. I always forget these people who talk absolute garbage on telly. There was a girl at BT Sports.
Rachel Brown, was it?
That's it, right? In one instance, she went into assault, right? And then she carried on and actually broke down and actually never said it. But what she was saying was basically there was no intent. His eyes are on the ball.
Yeah.
Exactly what Rob Green was saying. But yes, she's coming out with assault. It's a disgrace. That's another professional that you're talking about there. And if you want to go down this line of vindicating, attacking goals,
exactly.
then let's do it every week.
Because it happens every week.
Do it every week. And exactly. And listen, Chris Suttons doesn't have a clue, mate. He's never played in goal in his life. So she was trying to make out that he was making this star shape to protect the ball, which, by the way, he's done all his career since he's been at Everton. By the way, he done it at the World Cup, and he got lauded for it. They were absolutely made up.
I remember it. Yeah,
I think it was against Colombia.
He comes out and he flies out.
Absolutely. It was Croatia. And he absolutely flattens Mandzukic, which you want. And unfortunately, it's just an impact thing. And, you've got Depay now doing all this.
Isn't it? It was Perry Groves, and the headline is Pickford meant, and meant is in capitals, to hate Van Dijk. Perry Groves.
Who was it?
TalkSport. And that was today, which is 8 days later, by the way. 9 days later. Pickford meant to hate Van Dijk. Perry Groves, I think he played for Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken, years ago. But it was on TalkSport, so he's some irrelevant ex-footballer.
Well,
I haven't even read the tweets, but I know they're full of Evertonians. But it just shows, doesn't it?
People. But listen, when you step back and you take your Everton hat off, you just look at it, and that to me is just people want attention on. They want a platform to talk about it. If someone come out and just said nothing wrong with it, they wouldn't get anything. TalkSport wouldn't have them on. Sky wouldn't have them on. BT wouldn't have them on. You've got to be controversial, haven't you? You see the soft get, what's his name, doing the drive thing with the cricketer. That absolute clown artist just comes out with it every. Is it
Adrian? I don't know.
Is it Durham? Is it
Adrian Durham?
Yeah, that's yeah, he just comes out with nonsense every week. He must just sit in his car or in his house and his bed, must just say a daft thing and he go, right, I'll bring that up on the radio. You know what I mean? This is what he must do because he talks.
And most of them do, don't they? Most of them talk nonsense. And again, we saw it after, the Digne situation, the amount of, let's just say, non-Everton fans that were in our, I tweeted out Carlo Ancelotti's reaction to it, and Carlo Ancelotti said it's a disgrace. He said it was a joke that it was given. He said that he believes it was given because of the media witch hunt towards Pickford and and Richarlison, and he said we'd be appealing it. And I just tweeted that quote out, and the amount of Liverpool fans flying at me, well, isn't this a red? Isn't this a red? And it's like, well, what?
Well, listen, mate, I've got it now, with mates on WhatsApp and all that, and they're starting to question, and he's saying, red cards or against Liverpool specifically, Everton players going after, and it's just nothing, because you can if you want to start listing players, you can do it both sides. Listen, you've had Gerrard, you've had Dirk Kuyt. I mean, Gerrard didn't even get nothing, by the way, for that challenge. That was an absolute disgrace. You've seen plenty of things that have gone, and it's just a derby at the end of the day, so you let it go. But don't make out this victimisation thing of poor Liverpool and thing. It's utter nonsense. I mean, me now, if I was Everton,
well, we'd hope that they'd have played on it, wouldn't we? But they didn't yesterday, and they could have.
It's like, I want them now to just take this mantle of being absolute a gang of shit houses. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it if they did, because no media person ever wants Everton to do well. They never want them to get into. I mean, if Everton got into the Champions League, good luck with the media there, mate, because we've got the backing and we've got sort of the manager as well to put us into a very, very good position and probably push into that elite. That's all we need. We only need one good season, and that's it. That's us done, because we can sustain that. Leicester can't. They're not at the profile of Everton, unfortunately. Everton are a far bigger profile. So that's if the media aren't loving you and other rival teams aren't loving you, then it's time to just go full shit.
And that's what they do. They have, the whole everyone hates us is right, where, we don't want to be like that. And we should do, we shouldn't give it, monkeys about what anybody else thinks. We should just turn up and play our game, and that should be the motivation is, these hate us today, so let's go out and beat them and make them hate us even more. It shouldn't be, we're sorry, we'll bend over, we'll lose a game of football for you. We should be taking motivation. And, ultimately, yesterday we didn't do that when we thought we would. Again, like we mentioned, could have been 3-0 down, gets ruled out for offside. We go in at half time, and I'm not thinking we can get back into this game. We had 45 minutes to get back into this game, but I knew from the first half performance we weren't going to get back into it. There was just no motivation, there was no energy, there was no urgency. And lo and behold, we come out the second half. Bernard is brought on, and I want to just, we've briefly spoke about it, but I want to sort of bring it up again. We see the likes of Bernard given 45 minutes yesterday. We saw Gylfi Sigurdsson come into the team from the start, Alex Iwobi come in from the start, and again, I'll exclude Ben Godfrey and Anthony Gordon because of their situations, but specifically those three, Bernard, Sigurdsson and Iwobi, this was their big chance, wasn't it, mate, to really, really say to Carlo Ancelotti, I need to be in and around this team. It was Sigurdsson's big chance to say, I'm better than Andre Gomez and I should be in here every week. And it was Bernard and Iwobi's chance to say, listen, if Richarlison isn't having a great game or he hasn't scored by 60 minutes, bring me on. But neither of them really done that, did they? Neither of them showed anything to Ancelotti other than that they're not up for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of baffling to me, because I thought at the start of the game, when I seen the first team, I thought maybe we did need a bit of legs, but I was happy with the Sigurdsson because Gomez did play that poor, as being that poor. So I thought, what, give Sigurdsson a go, let him have a go, and he done nothing. Let's be serious. He reverted back to type, and that is just a typical Gylfi Sigurdsson thing. And listen, whoever likes him in a bar every 10 games can crack on. But for me, we need to start pulling away from these players now, and hopefully, I'm not too sure whether in January we get rid of Gylfi in particular, maybe Bernard more so. I think, like we said before, I think Saudi Arabia in their team, Al Hilal are in for him, aren't they? I don't know whether they've rejected it or I don't know, not too sure what's gone on there.
I think it's still sort of on the talks.
He was going, but he with Bernard, he was playing backwards. He was very sheepish. It was like he didn't want to make mistakes, or he didn't do any like the sort of indications that he'd done last year, where you thought, doing the little dribbling sense and going past the player, or he just gave us nothing, did he? And listen, the Iwobi as well, you're finding it very hard to beat that drum for him. I mean, how many more chances can you give him?
I think the reality with Iwobi is what I want to talk about next is he's not a like-for-like replacement for Richarlison. Is he doesn't bring what Richarlison brings. He hasn't got the ability. He hasn't got the creativity. Like we mentioned earlier on, when he gets the ball on the wing, by the time he's figured out what he's doing, they've got everyone back. They've got two men on him, and the attacks.
He wants about two.
That's it.
Touches and every time it comes, and there's no penetration with him, is there? There's no like sort of like go and attack someone like Richarlison does.
That's it.
Listen, he might be a good replacement for James Rodriguez. Maybe. Don't shoot me for that one. But he's sort of that player who can drop inside, can't he? But who would you got? Is there anyone in the under 23s you think could?
It's difficult because it's difficult because you look at the under 23s and it's a massive jump. It's a massive. Firstly, for me, Anthony Gordon will be playing from now on. When Richarlison isn't fit, or even when Richarlison isn't having a great game, i.e. the derby, 60, 70 minutes in, when he's looking frustrated with himself, before he lunges in with a silly tackle, Anthony Gordon will be the first person I'd be putting on when Richarlison needs to come off, or when Richarlison can't play. It's difficult with the under-23s because they haven't had even that experience of being on the bench or coming on for 5 or 10 minutes, so it would be a massive, massive step up. But I agree. The thing that you have with Richarlison is he's so quick. He's decided what he's going to do before he's got the ball. And I think that's why James Rodriguez loves to play with him, because James is very similar. He's very direct. Whenever James gets the ball, he knows where it's going before he's had it. He's got it. And it's usually going to Richarlison, who knows what he's doing before James has got it. So it's quick. Look at that goal against West Brom, I think it was. The fourth goal, where it comes to James. He dinks it over to Richarlison. He puts it back post to Calvert-Lewin, and Calvert-Lewin slides in. I think it was the fourth one against West Brom. It's a brilliant finish, but that's brilliant because Richarlison already knows, right, he's going to get this ball here. I've got faith he's going to dink it to me, and I'm going to make that run, and I'm going to hit it towards goal, but I'm going to put it in a place where, if it doesn't go in, Dominic Calvert-Lewin can be there to slide it. Whereas Iwobi he doesn't make his decision until he's tapped the ball, he's got it at his feet, and then he starts to make the decision, and by then it's far too late. You need players that know what they want to do before they do it, and that's what Richarlison is. And like you said, I think Iwobi, maybe a better replacement for, potentially a James or somebody in the centre of midfield. He's definitely not a replacement for Richarlison on the wing. He's technically, he's nowhere near as good, and like I said, he hasn't got that decisiveness that Richarlison has. And going on to Richarlison, I want to talk about him, and then we'll talk about Luca Digne's performance and the red card a little bit more. But going on to Richarlison, we knew we'd miss Richarlison yesterday because of, like I said, his directness, his ability. But I didn't quite really sit back and realise how much Luca Digne's game would be sort of pushed back, and James Rodriguez's game would be nullified, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin's game would be nullified with Richarlison. He really, like I said earlier on, it's the title of the live stream. He really is vital to this team, isn't he? He's very much irreplaceable. Even when, I think there was a stat on Sky yesterday that since he's joined Everton Football Club, he hasn't played in 5 games through suspension and injury, and we haven't won any of the 5 since he's been here.
Yeah, I mean, we might be taking him for granted, really, mightn't we? And you just sort of assume, you go, oh yeah, he could play. But then when he is out, and then you start he is really probably our talisman. I thought Calvert-Lewin could be that, but he's not.
Yeah.
Richarlison can do everything. He can hold the ball up, he can go inside, he can take on players, he can score goals, he can set up players. He can do everything. That's key as well. That, by the way, that's an excellent point. That is so key to take pressure off us when we're under the cosh. Well, that's all we needed. We just needed lads to just get all the ball and just keep it in their half. We had nothing like that. And I thought it was that you brought up. The pass that Rodriguez to Richarlison has happened in every single game. Every game. He's done this diag run. You can see James' heads up, and he's put him in. He put him in again. First game against Tottenham. Yeah. I think he hit the post. I'm not too sure. Or he saved it. He should have scored really. The next one, the free was it the free kick, or it was just before the free kick? Weren't it?
West Brom
against missed
post
again.
And
then against Liverpool again. That exact same position, and that is probably one of the most key things that for Everton this year will dictate whether we get into Europe. If we can get them 2 on the pitch and do that sort of get that partnership going, we will be very up there. But if we can't get it on, which we're not gonna be. Ancelotti's gonna have to find something, or find a different strategy to do that, because I think the 4-3-3 is very key to that partnership now, and we've seen it all the time. You're right. Luca Digne just sort of his whole game's off,
and I think that a lot of that is because he doesn't trust Iwobi to give the same output, and usually that ball from James Rodriguez comes over to Luca Digne as well, and it either comes over to Richarlison and Luca Digne overlaps Richarlison, or it comes to Luca Digne and Richarlison moves forward and he either offers Luca Digne that ball or he puts the cross in himself. But with Iwobi, it was you know, it was coming to Iwobi, and it was like I said there about winning fouls. Instead of just holding the ball up and falling over and falling onto the ball to force a decision, he's trying to find his way out of every situation and then just getting it nicked off him, and they're counter-attacking, and he doesn't make the blister and runs back. It's like, I've lost it there. And he's just detrimental to us. He's just so vital to us, isn't he? And
yeah, I think as a massive part of Richarlison, a massive part that Everton lose out is his defensive work. He's brilliant. He's absolute, and I think that's where you're saying Lucas Digne, didn't he? I think he was more so questioning whether Iwobi can sort of help him out there, because if Lucas Digne goes, you've seen it before. Richarlison gets back, and he'll do it like a late stop. I think he's done it against Liverpool. Don't know whether it was on the left or right, but he has that ability, and he has the desire to get back. There's not a lot of wingers that will do that for the team. That will go, like, essentially, like, be the best player in the team and then also put a shift in. So, yeah, he will be a massive loss, but I just hope Ancelotti, and he clearly is, can find a different partnership that we can sort of work with now, or sort of find, like, something maybe with Gordon and James Rodriguez getting closer to Calvert-Lewin. Maybe go like a 4-4-2, just revert back to type and just sort of do it that way, just so until Richarlison get back. Does he misses
the Man U game?
Misses the Man U game as well, doesn't he, Richarlison? Oh. Yeah, it's the big one, isn't it?
That's it. That's it. And you look at it and you think, and I've seen a lot of people frustrated with Richarlison yesterday, and you know, you do sort of look at that performance and you think, why did you throw that tackle in? Why did you need to throw that tackle in? But he shouldn't have to feel like that. He shouldn't have to feel like, without me, these are bollocks. He should be thinking, God, I'm gonna have to put it in hard in training when I come back, because so and so's come in for me and they're doing brilliantly. Whereas he's probably sitting at home now thinking, Jesus Christ, these rely so much on me.
Oh yeah, he's a huge part of, an integral part of what Everton are, and you could probably, in a sense, take Lewin out and then take a few others out, and they'd be all right if Richarlison was playing. This is what I'm saying. He's so massive, and to try and find a player who can replace that sort of thing, it's very hard to find. And listen, there's a lad at Watford who's doing very well. Another Brazilian who probably will be on the books of Everton very soon, who will probably take it when Richarlison does leave. Unfortunately, he is going to at some point if he keeps playing like the way he's playing. It wouldn't be so long till Real Madrid or Barcelona or even Juve, or Bayern Munich or anyone comes in for him. He's elite, isn't he? We've just got we've started to add these, and we had Lukaku, who's sensational. Yeah. We missed him. I thought he was a massive part of whatever it was, and now we're missing Richarlison. But I think one key thing is, hopefully we can address in January is this ball carrying midfielder. We just need someone who can take the ball away from the out of our area. We just got no one who can do that. Who can, like, I know I keep bringing up Barkley, but he's so good at it. Yeah. He's just so good at stretching and getting into opponents' half. We've just got no one like that. Maybe maybe you're right. Maybe put a Wolby in the midfield.
He played there a couple of times in the friendlies and in the Carabao Cup games, and he done better than what he done on the wing. He was a little bit like you said. He was picking the ball up in the midfield and moving it forward, and you know, maybe that's more beneficial, having Iwobi doing that and then having Gordon on the left hand side who runs at players and is a bit more direct, and I think, you know, is again probably got a little bit of that knows what he wants to do before the ball gets to him. But you know, you're spot on. It just didn't work, did it really? Lucas Digne's red card, then we'll talk a little bit more about it before we finish up. It was a shambles, let's be fair. It wasn't a red card. He didn't have a great game at all, did he, to be fair, Tom? I think taking the red card away from it and what you think about it, he was poor all game, wasn't he? And again, not just didn't offer much going forward, which I think is again a big part of. I think that's because a big part of that's because Richarlison was out, but also defensively got caught for the first goal, wasn't involved really with the second goal. He just didn't help himself massively, did he? And like I said before, we will appeal it. It's not getting overturned.
No, 100% won't. I'd be very surprised if it gets overturned. I mean, he only won 43% of his defence's duties that game. He had 1 interception.
Shocking.
I mean, his previous game he had 13 against Liverpool. You know, he averages 5.63 interceptions a game, and he's doing 1. So he was off. He was clearly off. And listen, he's a progressive runner, overlapper who I just don't think he likes playing with Iwobi. I just don't think it suits his game. I think him and Richarlison have got like this sort of where we talk about like, previous years where you see Baines and Pienaar, they just have this intelligence with each other that they just know well and they click straight away. You don't have to be with each other for a while. They just all of a sudden click, and that partnership I think is massive for them. And listen, his crossing was poor, weren't it, at best. It just weren't helping no one. And look, listen, they're all human at the end of the day, and I think the whole team did, didn't he, personally? And you just got to give him one of them. You just got to put your hands up and you score right. Go again next week. Hopefully he is there next week.
And if he's not, young Niles Nkunku comes in, who obviously is massively impressed. 3 games so far.
Well, this is a massive thing that I like this year about Everton, that we've got these youngsters who could potentially come in and take over, and hopefully takes his chance.
Yeah, spot on. They're hungry.
Sorry, that, mate. You just...
Oh no, sorry. I think the Skype call had a little bit of an internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think, like you said, you know, Niles Nkunku, obviously 3 games so far for Everton. Considering he was a young, I keep saying this every time I talk about him, but I will continue to say, considering he was a player brought in with the view of going in the under-23s, he's done fantastically well. 2 Carabao Cup games, which he's looking menacing going forward. Obviously, the game against West Ham, I think he was asked a little bit, you know, to focus more on his defensive duties because we were playing a Premier League opposition. Was absolutely fine, and it's his big chance now, isn't it? You know, he could be playing a game against Manchester United, which is a big opposition for him to step into, and you'd like to think that he'd be able to get forward and use his attacking capabilities. But it's going to be a big test for him defensively as well, isn't it? Certainly playing consistent Premier League games, because we haven't really seen him tested defensively, which is, I wouldn't say a worry for me, but...
He played against West Ham. Did he play
against West Ham, yeah.
Didn't he? I thought he was very comfortable. Thought he was very good. I mean, maybe Ancelotti might look at something like if Lucas Digne does get overturned, hopefully it does, but if it does get overturned, maybe put in Nkunku left mid.
Yeah. Potentially,
and he's brilliant going forward. He's excellent, and he's that type of like sort of direct runner and can sort of go at players. I mean, there's no harm in bringing him in for a game and just seeing how he goes at left mid while Richarlison's out. Maybe put Gordon in behind Calvert-Lewin. Yeah. I'd love to see that. That's one thing I'd love to see, because I think Gordon's got the intelligence to find Calvert-Lewin, and I think Lewin's good at his one touch play where to play it off, and I think Gordon, when he gets in these situations in the final third and he finds pockets of spaces, he's fantastic at finding plays. He's got very good vision. I mean, if you've watched him in the under-20s, he was absolutely brilliant at, and he has got a cracking right foot on him. He scored some absolute worldies outside the box for Everton under-20s. So I'd like to see him at number 10. Maybe this is the time, I think, for Ancelotti to start mixing it up a bit, because you can't rely on Sigurdsson, Bernard or Wolby. No. Put them on the bench now. They're done with. I hope he's got the balls, and from previous managers who, even when you've seen Silva, they had poor performances, weren't they? And they were just playing every weekend. That really grinds my gears, mate. It really does. It means that there's no consequences for a poor performance, does it?
That's it. Spot on. And I think he will do that. You know, he ragged Iwobi off after 45 minutes. Okay, he put Bernard on, he didn't do much either, but he gave Bernard his chance, and now hopefully he'll look at it and go, well, you done nothing in 45, you done nothing in 45, so we're putting this young lad on and giving him. And you're right, Anthony Gordon was unbelievable in the under-23s, playing in that midfield role, picking the ball up, firing them from 25, 30 yards, top corner, consistently scoring quality goals. And I agree with what you said about Nkunku as well. He's got that raw confidence about him, hasn't he? And that raw, I don't really care who I'm up against, I just want to impress.
That young mentality, innit? That young mentality is just straight out, let's go for it. And Listen, he could be good at left mid. I'd like it personally. I mean, if you went to like a sort of 4-4-2, and you had Decore Allen in the midfield, you also had Hammers on the right hand side, and then have Gordon or have Gordon on the right.
Yeah.
And sort of have him, because he can get back Gordon. He is all right defensively. Yeah. It's just if Hammers can go. I mean, we saw the goal. Did you see? I think the Champions League put it up. Real Madrid's goal against Liverpool. Was it Ronaldo's? Did you see it? His little flick over the top.
Probably. Oh yeah, I did see it. I did.
He's brilliant. Like we were talking about Gordon in that pocket of space. James Rodriguez is probably one of the best players in the world at finding that space in that little, and then he's got the ability to find them. And when I seen that little flick over, you can just envision Lewin getting on them
all day.
You can just that I'd like to see James starting to come in as that number 10. Maybe shift it around with the system a little bit because I do think we got a little bit exposed.
Yeah, spot on. And like you mentioned about the likes of Gordon and Nkunku, you know, it's that young sort of mentality of straight in, this is my big chance, and Sigurdsson and Iwobi and Bernard don't have that because they're more experienced players who've had many chances, and they're probably sitting there thinking, I'll have many more, so I'm not really interested in that. Let's bring the young lads in who are thinking, right, okay, this is me big, especially Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon has been very, very vocal to Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti's been vocal about it, saying, Anthony Gordon's knocking on my door, he's not happy, he's, you know, I love that about him, he's coming here saying, I'm frustrated that I'm not playing, why aren't I playing? Carlo Ancelotti should go out now next week, give Anthony Gordon a go and go, yeah, you've been knocking on my door, you've been saying them really hard, you've worked well, here's your chance, go and take it. And I guarantee you he won't put in a performance like Iwobi where he just waltzes around and doesn't really seem interested.
I think you're right. Yeah, no, I think we're all hoping that he does give him that chance, because I think we're all confident that he will take it. And I think you'll see Gordon. And I mean, like you're saying, where Richarlison's out, maybe if James goes out or any of the others, if Gordon comes in, which I think he will, and he takes the chance, and I think he's got the mentality, I think he's brilliant to personally. If he does take that chance, like you said previously, it's very hard to get him out the team. Yeah. So then what Ancelotti's got to do then is find a place for him or find the system to suit these players. Yeah. And I think with a Gordon, Calvert-Lewin, James Rodriguez and a Richarlison front four will be a very, very good team.
Yeah, spot on, I agree. And you know, you mentioned the under-23s there. We're looking at strikers saying we've got no replacement for Calvert-Lewin. You know, how much confidence would it give an Ellis Sims if you put him on the bench and go, right, okay, we're struggling here numbers-wise for Calvert-Lewin to come in and replace him. Well, he mightn't be the finished article, but he will have that raw, I need to take me chance.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I've watched quite a bit of Ellis Sims recently, and he shoots that level, doesn't he? He's all right. I mean, sometimes his technique, sometimes in front of goals, a little bit, not amateurish. It's just like that at that level. You know what I mean? Where you want him to just be a little bit more comfortable in front of goal. Where listen, he scores goals, but I think he could scored double. He's fantastic at going in behind, which Dom doesn't
what we need.
Which is really what we need. And listen, we can all have an opinion about whether he's right, whether he's ready or not, but you're not going to really find out until you put him in there.
Exactly.
How old is he now? 19 I think he is, isn't he? I mean, listen, in this day and age, 19's not a young age.
Should be in and around there at 19. Look at Moise Keane.
You should be. Well, you should be at least getting a sub here and there at 19. I mean, I know we're saying 19-year-old, but now, currently in this level or this day and age of football, if once you start going into 20s and you haven't seen a first team game, then that's where you got to worry about lads where you're starting to do the club actually rate them, because we've got lads like Pennington and they're 26 years of age. Yeah. I mean,
still playing,
but exactly. Well, you've got Josh Bowler, and I'm like, he never went on loan, did he?
No, he picked up an injury, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
Before he was going to go out on loan, and he picked up an injury, so then he stayed.
I mean, listen, Josh Bowler wouldn't have been a bad thing. I mean, I know we're going to say it, but he's not even in the Premier League squad now. Balassi, listen. Don't start talking to me about Balassi, please. Don't start giving me Balassi.
You know how many comments I've had since we last were on the live stream about putting Balassi in a skirt and making him a cheerleader. It keeps popping up every now and then in the comments. Has Balassi got a skirt? Yeah, and at first I look at it and I think, what's that about? And then I remember it. I'll be sitting there talking about, like, I don't know, something serious, and I'll just start giggling to myself because I remember the context behind it.
Yeah, get him his little pom-poms and that. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the best place he can be, is in the stands. I mean, people are forgetting that he's had a serious
bad injury.
Yeah. Like, it was horrendous. It was so bad, and he's just lost all pace and all ability of what he did. His key thing was going past players, being direct. He has not got that. Yeah. That is not in his locker no more. And plus as well, he's 31, is he? 32?
Yeah, he's into his 30s now.
Listen,
I don't know exactly how old.
Listen, if anyone says put Balassi on, they can get a skirt and that on the pom-poms and go sit next to him.
Well, that's it.
Go do the 2 meter, obviously in a garden.
In socially distanced.
Socially distanced, and you just can all run round there. Go to some park with it at half time.
Well, that's it, and I have seen a lot of them shout, "Oh, surely Balassi could have put in a better performance than Iwobi." Well, to be fair, yesterday I probably could have put in a better performance than Iwobi. It doesn't mean he's the answer. It means that Iwobi isn't the answer on that side of the pitch, and you've got players with raw ability and raw confidence like Gordon and Nkunku. I understand why Carlo Ancelotti didn't put Nkunku in there, because he's trying to mould him into a left back, but if he works, it works. Ellis Sims, maybe, again, you don't know until you try. He mightn't be ready, and we might all sit here and go, we knew he wouldn't be ready, but he might come in and he just might look 10 times the player because he's got that raw confidence. At the end of the day, I'd rather have a young player in there who gets a run of 5 games and who doesn't really impress but is giving it 110% than a player in there who's been playing Premier League football for 5 or 6 years consistently and just isn't impressing whatsoever. And we saw a lot of that.
You've been watching the under-23s,
yeah, I've last couple of weeks I've done the Toffee TV, Everton in reserve videos. I've been catching the highlights and stuff.
Yeah, well, there's a lad in there called Onyanga.
Yeah, Tyler
He's a bit of a he's very good. I like him. He's sort of that Decore type profile.
He jumped up very quickly from the 18s as well.
Yeah, I think he's on a fast track. I think you'll start seeing him soon. Maybe the back end of next year. But you've got the lads who I watched against, I think it was I think it was Man United the other night. Was it Iverson?
Yeah, they lost to Man United 2-1, yeah.
Yeah, he played, didn't he, Iverson?
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
He's a good player. It's difficult when you watch at that level because you see players putting in performances at that level, and I can't help but think back to Kieran Dowell, who was ripping it up at that level, and various other players. Ryan Ledson, I remember you'd look at and you'd think this lad's going to be the next big thing, and he just don't make it. He's a good player. He's very comfortable with it. He seems confident as well.
Looks very good in the middle. Yeah, from what I look at it, I mean,
he's a confident lad. He is, and
the way he transitions from defence to attack's very good for me. He's good on the half turn where he can turn, and he hasn't got blistering pace, but he's got enough pace to get away from. Yeah, to get away from. But listen, maybe that's completely blown out the water when he comes to a different level. But I'd like to start seeing some lads just come from and given a chance now, because we all know we can't trust Sigurdsson and Bernard, especially them two. I mean, I know it might go up a Wolby's arse a little bit, but he's at an age where
still young himself.
He's still young, isn't he? So, but listen, it wouldn't harm us. It would not harm us. I know we're trying to get into Europe and things like that, but when lads aren't performing, at what point do you just say, that's enough? I'm gonna go give this 19-year-old lad who's absolutely biting at the bit for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly. And again, what's the worst that can happen when you do that? Is they don't perform. Oh well, the players weren't performing either. So you just say, right, okay, maybe you're not ready yet. We try again in 6 months. The last thing you want is for somebody in the under-23s or an Ellis Sims or an Anthony Gordon to not get game time and then go and pick up a transfer in the summer and then go and absolutely set the world on fire at whoever they go to. You want to give them their opportunity and you want to be able to put faith in them. And Anthony Gordon, okay, would have been knocking on Carlo Ancelotti's door 3 or 4 weeks ago and thinking, I want an opportunity, I want me chance. But he'd have also been sitting thinking, but Richarlison's on form, James Rodriguez is on form, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's on form. So as much as I want me chance, I understand that we're playing brilliantly and it's not that easy. Whereas now he'd be looking thinking, there's no excuse against Newcastle, I should be in there.
He should be in. He should have been in Monday morning and talking to him. I mean, I think he's got a good relationship with Duncan Ferguson. And
yeah.
I think Ferguson likes him
Puts
a lot.
Puts his arm around him.
Yeah, and maybe he's pushing him a little bit to just keep nagging the manager. But after seeing performances like Gomez, Sigurdsson and Bernard, if it was him and looking through it from his eyes, he must sit thinking, what else or what more can I do to just get past these lads who are just non-existent. So he'll probably go past them in terms of level. I mean, he might never get to an England side, but you never know. Yeah. But he's going there. I mean, you see Jack Grealish back in the day, and he showed glimpses of what he could be, but he's only really at 25, 26. He's only really now showing his full ability.
Well, that's it.
But I think Gordon's well up to the task.
Yeah, I agree completely. If you are enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, share it out. We'll get into the live comments, and then I want to talk about Newcastle on Sunday on the weekend. Sorry, I think it's Saturday, is it? Before we finish up Sunday.
2 o'clock.
Sunday, 2 o'clock again.
Just before you do, is that going to be on pay-per-view? No, it's going to be on telly.
I don't know. Give me a second.
I don't think none of us are paying £14.95 for that.
That's ridiculous. That's a conversation for a whole nother.
If anyone's in the comments who's got,
I've got that live scores app. It's Sky Sports Premier League, Sky Sports main event, so regular television.
Oh yeah, we're main events. There you
go, we're main eventers. We're still top of the league, mate. So
yeah,
we're still there. Ral says, I disagree. I think the whole team were horrible. Well, we were poor. I don't think anyone's gonna sit here and argue. Obviously the bright spark was Anthony Gordon, but everybody was poor. Lavid says, until yesterday people were talking about our great squad. What's changed? Get a scrappy 1-0 against, or even 0-0 against Newcastle. That'd do me. We have to win for me. We have to win just to keep the momentum. But
just on the greats here, I don't think anyone was like that. I think before even that, I think we all had question marks about who can come in, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
but it was always going to be a worry, wasn't it?
Well, exactly. We had confidence because we were winning, so you're buoyed by that. So you're like, oh yeah, let's see these lads now do it. But they just reverted back to type. That was the worry, and that's what everyone probably thought.
Yeah, that's it. Spot on. That's it. And we sat here multiple times, didn't we, over the weeks, and said, what happens if these players come in and don't perform? And that was what it was. Kadir says, hi bro from North Cyprus, Turkish Republic. Hi mate, hope you're doing well. Ocean says, Southampton are a good side, they'll add one bad game. We are, and that's why when we talk about Newcastle, we're going to talk about the importance of bouncing back. Underground says, even though Davis has a mistake, he at least puts a crunch tackle in. Davis says, can't stand the Wobie as a footballer, he's just crap. How did we pay 30 million for him?
I forgot about Davis.
Yeah, Davis. I think he was on the bench, yeah.
Yeah, that's
what I mean. It's Davis. Gabaman obviously is due to come back by November, which is literally about 10 days away.
I mean, it could be a bit controversial, but do you think Davis should have done a better than Sigurdsson playing in that more advanced role?
No, I don't know. No. He's
not really going up against.
I'd rather have had Gordon in there or even Obi back in there than Davis. But again,
ignore me.
No, it's all right. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. Lavid says, do you think it's time for Tom Davis to get a kick up the arse? Imagine a Blues midfield of Alan, Decore, Davis, and Delph. It's not gonna. Carlo Ancelotti, I don't think, is gonna revert to 4-4-2 consistently. He might change it now and then, but when everybody's fit, I think the 4-3-3 with the team that we've seen so far is probably going to be the side that we see.
When Richarlison comes back, that's perfect system.
That works, yeah. That's it. It's just while Richarlison's out. I know they get overloaded on the right hand side, so hopefully if we could find someone, or maybe a Wobie can do the James Rodriguez role and sort of bring James closer to Calvert-Lewin. Yeah.
That's the only sort of tweak I'd do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Underground says Iwobi keeps coming back and not passing. It was so annoying. Eugene says the Everton game against Newcastle is a must win. It certainly is. Tuesday Delaney says the Everton players have to step up. Says I taped the match but could not watch it back and knew the score, so deleted the game. Don't blame you, mate. Don't blame you. Eugene.
Save that for better things, you know what I mean?
Don't waste the time, don't waste the time.
Or at Tuesday, download that.
Yeah, it looks decent, that, doesn't it? Seeing the advert, it looks decent, that attitude. Don't know where I'm going off here.
If he's got a good attitude.
I wonder if Borak could do a job at left wing, actually. That's not a bad shout. He'd probably be more direct than Iwobi. Certainly, based on the trailer, he seems very direct. Eugene says Everton can play Ellis Sims next week. Well, we'll have to see. Lavid says, would you go back to basics for regular games in the absences of regular, the dogs of war? Maybe, but it's about whether the players could do the basics, really. And yesterday, they couldn't do the basics. Sigurdsson didn't do the basics. Iwobi didn't do the basics. Fabio says, we're worried in Colombia. We're going against Uruguay in a couple of weeks and we need him. I assume you're talking about James. Well, again, we haven't heard, and I don't think we will hear until Carlo's pre-game press conference because, of all the backlash about was he lying that he picked up an injury and all that bollocks. But I would hope that James was just a little bit under discomfort for the last 20 minutes and he'd come off and he had a nice little massage and he's had a day off today and maybe a day off tomorrow.
Just worried that he was holding his hamstring.
It seemed to be the same place in which he was knocked in the Merseyside derby and again, maybe it was a little bit too soon to throw him in, but Carlo made it very, very clear that if he passes the fitness test, he's in there, and I think that was because we already knew we were lacking Richarlison, so...
He's our only creative midfielder, so no matter what, mate, he's going in.
That's it. Imagine if he'd have been out of there. I mean, we didn't create anything anyway, but... Jesus Christ.
I know.
Goodison Blue says, think Hammers was not fit to start yesterday. Once the subs were used too quickly, he was left when struggling. Maybe. Lavid says, my biggest disappointment was Alan. Also, would you give Hammers a break? Well, if he needs it, if he's injured, then yeah. But if he's not injured and he's ready to start, and he says he's ready to start, then no, because he's absolutely vital to this Everton team and this Everton squad. So you only give him a break ultimately if you've got a player that can come in and do that job. Maybe if Anthony Gordon comes in on the weekend and for Richarlison and does a fantastic job, and then maybe when Richarlison comes back you say to Gordon, right, okay, we're going to give James a week and you're going to slot in there, or Richarlison's going to go to the right, you go to the left, but not at the moment, because the question then is who comes in for James.
It'd be very, very worrying if we didn't have Richarlison and James Rodriguez going into Newcastle next week, when they've got lads who are very, very good at running directly at you. You've got Alan St. Maximum, who's brilliant. I think he's gone up a little bit of a way. I know Almiron is a little bit of a headless chicken, another runner. So they've got these lads in midfield where we need things to start. We need at least one of our best players to play.
Yeah, spot on. I agree. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. Everton Botcher says, hey Cam lad, horrible game of football to watch. That was yesterday. Watch with my parents. They didn't know anything about football. They thought Everton was Southampton. I wished Everton was Southampton yesterday, to be honest. David says, hi from Nigeria. Iwobi is a Fulham player. He's really poor and inconsistent. He was out of position, but you can't stick up for him yesterday, to be fair. John says, time for young, hungry players to step up. Gordon, Niles and Kunku to come in for a few games and better fight for the shirt, like we said before. John also says, Bernard and Iwobi need to go. He says, think Balassi would have done a better job than Iwobi. But what's the word I'm looking for? Again, like I said, a lot of people could have probably done a better job than Iwobi, but he's not the replacement, is he? Let's be honest.
He's just, I know I'm joking with it and all that, but it's just he's not. He just no.
I think it's a lot of this is because of the voyeuristic sort of feeling of we haven't seen Balassi other than in a couple of friendlies, so we don't know what he could come in and do. Balassi would only have to come in and put in one bad performance, and this would stop.
Well, remember the friendly?
Well, he missed the sitter in the friendly, to be fair.
I mean, it was harder to miss than put it in.
It was.
Do you know what I mean? And listen. I hope he gets a clue. And listen, he's brilliant. Yannick, he is. He's a laugh and everything on Twitter, and he does support the club, which I appreciate. But this nonsense that he can come into an Everton side who are pushing for Europe and make us better is utter nonsense in my opinion.
It is that. Yeah, I agree completely. I agree, and again, I think it's because we don't know, but like you said, that he didn't impress in the friendly, he missed a sitter, and if he'd done that in a Premier League game and we come on the live stream on the Monday, there wouldn't be very many positive comments, I'll tell you that. Everton Botch says if DCL gets injured and Richarlison is playing up front, he will play out wide. After that performance, I think Bernard would go, because when everyone is fit, he isn't playing. I'd sell Bernard, like Tom said, I'd sell Bernard tomorrow if we got the opportunity. I really would.
6 mil. I think it's 6 million from Al Hilal, innit?
I'd take it.
No, 100 odd grand, 6 million in the bank. It's a no-brainer, but
it's a profit as well.
Plus as well, though, it's if he wants to go or if he. But listen, how old is he? 28, 29?
29, I think, yeah.
Look, he's coming at the end of that career. He's got to start looking at himself, thinking, how long can I play at this level? Which he can't. Yeah. But it's a good, little end of career payout there for him.
Yeah, he'd be getting a lot of money. Money.
Loads. I mean, 6 million for me and 120 grand off the year wage bill. You can sort of look at that in January then, and sort of see who you can find or who you can see whose contracts up in the summer and starting getting things ball rolling there, because we're very tight. We've said it before, we're very tight on this wage thing, and FFP comes back into full effect next year.
Exactly, spot on, and that would be massive if we could get rid of Bernard and get that money off the wage bill and get a little bit of money for him. You're spot on. We'd sort of put ourselves in a good position to prepare for FFP, because let's be honest, he's a player that if he doesn't go in January, he's going to go in the summer, and if they're not, then you're looking at it. It's an inevitability ultimately.
Yeah. You're totally right. Yeah. It's either January or next summer he's going, isn't he? I don't know how he stays. Maybe a loan away for his last, because I think his contract's up in 2022. Yeah. Same as Sigurdsson's, by the way. Sigurdsson's not up till not next year.
We could be having a lot of these conversations then, mate, between now and 2022.
Well, it's not next year, which I thought it was, but it's not. It's the year after. So, but then again, I think them two will go. Yeah. Because there was so much conversations about it this summer that inevitably next year, a year left on the contract, they can't be staying. It's just, they can't be.
Yeah, spot on. Tuesday, Delaney said, I've been an Everton fan since 1970, so proud to support such a great club. Is right. Everton Botcher says he became an Everton fan in the Marco Silva era. What a time to become an Everton fan.
Did he?
Yeah. What? There you go. In the Marco Silva. I don't know why, but there you go.
Don't tell me it's because of him.
Maybe it's because of Richarlison.
Shut the live stream off and I'll go on a dark room and think the world's over there, mate. What was he watching?
That's it. That's some dedication, though. Some dedication.
I feel sorry for him.
That's it. He hasn't seen the worst, but he certainly hasn't seen the best. Well, he has seen the worst, actually. I don't know. There's a question.
He hasn't seen Thomas Radzinski up front for Everton, has he? So,
that's true.
A Scott Gemmell midfield, or Mark Pembridge on the wing.
It.
If you haven't been there, mate, then you're lucky.
Yeah, that's it. Andrew says, Colombian Everton fan here, love the passion of the Premier League and the Blues, hope great things come to this club, thank you very much. Everton Botchers says, Cam, can you do a video on the history of Everton? Most of us new Everton fans. Yeah, definitely look at that. And Andrew also says, James is the closest thing we have to a royal prince in Colombia. That's how much he is loved and admired. We sincerely hope he can bring greatness back to Everton. So do I, mate, and I honestly think with the right players around him and in the right structure, he will. And he's massively impressed, hasn't he? So, looking forward to next week, Tom. Eugene put a comment in, which we'll talk about in talking about the Newcastle game. He says, do you think Jordan Pickford needs a break? I thought Jordan Pickford was, if you had to pick a player that didn't necessarily have an awful game yesterday other than Anthony Gordon, I don't think you could put any fingers on Jordan Pickford. I thought he'd done well.
He was just alright, wasn't he? Listen, I was quite surprised how he handled the game, to be honest with you. I mean, it was such a poor performance by the team that I think the whole Pickford thing just got bypassed, didn't it? And I thought he was, weirdly enough, I thought he was quite cool, calm and collective, really.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't do anything wrong, specifically.
Well, the goals, he couldn't do nothing about them.
No.
He couldn't.
No, I agree. And for me, no, I wouldn't rest him. I wouldn't take him out purely because, again, he done nothing wrong, did he? I know the Newcastle scenario is the whole...
No, I think sorry, I think that'll be totally different.
Because there's no fans?
Yeah, but also I think it'll be totally different I think there's been a lot said about his games against Newcastle, so I think he will take an approach where it'll be don't get emotionally involved.
Yeah. And he did. Totally to be fair, he done that in the game in which we beat them away from home last season. It all sort of madly went out the window when we threw a 2-0 lead away in the 91st minute.
I remember that.
But the game away when we beat them 2-1, one of Carlo's first games, he was brilliant. He was so cool. He didn't bite to the crowd, and I don't know how much blame you could put him in that 2-2. To be honest with you, I think we just absolutely capitulated on that day. Newcastle on Sunday, mate. Listen, it's a big chance now. This game and this performance against Southampton sort of can act like a little bit of a catalyst to say next week, right, okay, you've been beaten. You knew you were always going to get beaten. It was always going to come at some point. This. If we react on Sunday, I'm not going to sit here and say it'll be the sign of champions or where we'll finish. But if we go out there and we have our heads down and we get beat, you're looking thinking we're going to struggle here. Certainly with players out, we're going to struggle. If we go out and win, you're thinking that's the mentality of a side that are fighting for Europe and can finish in a European position, at the very least at the end of the season. So it's a big chance, isn't it, on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they put a performance in against Southampton like that, so you're coming up against a team that is sort of a bit similar in my sense. These are two sides, in my opinion, that have been absolute sort of the type of teams that we go away to, and we always seem to struggle, don't we? We just always seem to put up, I can't remember, I think with the last time we won against Newcastle, might have been, could correct me if I'm wrong here, was it a game when Barkley scored?
Away from home?
Yeah.
I think we beat them last season away from home, didn't we? Calvert-Lewin scored twice. He scored that one where it cut across him.
Yeah, that was it.
But before that, I think it was the Barkley one.
Was it Marco Silva one where they come back and they won 3-2, was it?
No, that was under Ancelotti. It was Ancelotti's second game after the Burnley game. We went away and we went 1-0 down, I think.
I think Lewin kick-started his
that was his first sort of...
Yeah, no, listen, we played well that game. I thought we played well, but without Richarlison, and we've sort of realised... You're
spot on, by the way. Before that game, we don't do well at St James's Park usually,
Them two sides are teams that Everton just seem to struggle from my own experience watching Everton. And you look at it and you think, do you take a draw? But no, you like you've said there, we went away last year and beat them. So if we can sort of just park that Southampton one and just put a cross through it. You're looking at a racehorse and it's had one bad run, but it's won 5 of the last 5 races. You just mark it off as one of them and you just go again the week after. So, listen, it's going to be difficult. They had a good... they had quite a similar result, didn't they, as Southampton, because Southampton got a last-minute draw against Chelsea, which buoyed them. They've just gone against the Wolves, who are a very smart outfit. Got not a last minute, but late in the game, draw against them, and they played all right. So they'll be buoyed. Hopefully we've got to show that mentality that we've shown in the previous games. Yeah. That we can go away to these teams and just put them away. And listen, if we go one down, I've still got confidence in us that we can come back if we are showing the potential in the game. So listen, let's hope so. Do you want a prediction?
Go on, you can do, why not?
I reckon 1-0.
Is right. We'll take that. Well, that's it, innit? Like you said, if we go 1-0 down, the Southampton game sort of felt like when we went 1-0 down, I don't know, and I didn't want to tweet this because I didn't want to seem like Mr. Negative, but when we went 1-0 down, I thought, we've got no fight here. We've got this doesn't look like a team. The only sort of hope I had was he'll get them in at half-time and then we'll see that fight. But as soon as it got to the 49th minute, and there was nothing there, I thought we're not getting back in this game.
I when it went 2-0, I said to me, Arthur, it's game over. Yeah. They just showed nothing.
That's it.
They literally showed nothing towards that they could get back in the game. But yeah, I'd love to see us just go away to Newcastle, be tight all game, bit of a boring one, break away and just get a goal and come away last minute, or Calvert-Lewin header at the back post will do me, and that'll shoot me down to the ground. A performance like that, after what we've just witnessed, would be perfect.
Spot on.
And then you've got the big Man U, haven't you?
That's it.
At home.
That's it. And if we do go out and win on Sunday, that would truly put this Southampton game in isolation and put a cross through it and say we don't worry about that anymore. That was a one-off bad day at the office. Go on. Sorry.
What's your prediction?
I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, get in the comments. Oh, this could be.
I'm gonna go 3-1. I am.
3-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1. I think.
Who's who? You never
to Everton. 3-1 to Everton. Bloody hell. Imagine had they done Newcastle then. They'd just be like, see you later. Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1. I think we can break on the counter attack. But we have to have a reaction. There has to be a reaction. You know, I hate talking about them because I hate them, but we all sat here before the Liverpool game and said they've just been absolutely embarrassed 7-2. Don't expect them to turn up with their heads down and their tails between their legs thinking, oh, we're crap here. They turned up and they thought, no, that ain't happening again. And they were shit hot. They were absolutely shit hot. That's what I want us to be on Sunday. I want us to go out and go, nah, that's not happening again. We're not losing again like that, and be absolutely shit off from the start. And if we do concede, I want us to show a bit of fight and a bit of, right, okay, like we said when we conceded against Brighton and West Brom, that bit of, well, okay, we've conceded there, but we're just going to go up and score another 2, so it's all right. That's what I want to see from Everton on the weekend, and hopefully if we can bring that, then this is a result in isolation and we don't have to worry too much about it.
It'll be if we do go and win it, it'd be a big statement, because it's like we've shown the mentality now that we can put in a poor performance and then come out and then we can still win. Yeah. And like you say, you're coming up to big games, and all our big games this side of the year calendar is all at home. Majority of it, I think pretty much all the top 6 are, aren't they?
Yeah, because I remember looking at them thinking, if fans return to stadiums, we're going to miss.
Oh yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, after a bad performance like that, and then they go away to Newcastle, you'd love the fans in for the Man U, wouldn't you? That'd be perfect for Everton, because I think they get them into the mood of going, and I think Man U are really easy to get going. You know what I mean? So listen, let's hope for the best.
That's it. That's all we can do. Let's get in the comments then before we finish up. Everton Bot says more scared for the Man United game. He said they've only lost the ball 14 times and touched it 32 times. That's his game. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's poor.
I was gonna say, where's that? Is he just counting that?
I don't. Like I said, I don't know. Put the source in if you've got it. Lavovich says, looking forward to the future. How many players do you think Carlo will sign in January? I don't know. It depends who goes, doesn't it?
I'll be honest with you. Maybe one.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it was one.
We don't do January, do we?
No, we don't do it. I mean, listen, you've got John Joe Kenny there. That still could be going. He could go in January. You've got Tom Davis, who could find a loan. Yeah. You don't know, but I think it'll be more so that we'll be letting players go than bringing players in. Maybe a few loan. You just don't. But Marcel Brands just doesn't like doing a January business deals.
No. So don't expect a lot, but maybe some outgoings, and then we look at the summer then. Everton Bot says, I love the club, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I hate the shite. He says, how was the Sam Allardyce era? Was it awful? Mate, don't get us... It was
just
one of them.
If you can find a word for that, then that's exactly what it was.
It was that noise personified.
It was just met, weren't it? Just met.
It was like, just again, going through the motions.
Listen, if you went to go and watch the match, take a nice, like a Harry Potter book or something, because you'd have got through it quite comfortably, wouldn't you?
Easily. In fact, you may have even got through 2. Take the whole series,
you'd have got through it by half time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You may have even got through 2.
I tell you what though, to back him up a little bit, I thought Marco Silva was the worst. I think I seen a poll. Did you see that poll on Twitter? Who was the worst ever manager out of Koeman?
I did see it, but I can't remember who won it.
Marco Silva, and I personally thought Marco Silva was taking us down. Yeah. Like, I genuinely convinced
myself. After that Norwich game, it did look like that, didn't it?
I honest to God, mate, I thought we're playing Championship football, and I was sort of working in my head thinking, we'll see a few of the under-23s and all that, convincing myself. But because that's the only one way we were going, weren't we?
It was going down fast.
At least under Allardyce, it was just
boring.
1-0, get away, and that was it. That's what it was, wasn't it?
It was exactly.
No one even was going for a pint after the game.
No.
The bars were quiet. Everyone was that sad and depressed.
That was it.
Just went home and had a cup of tea.
That was it. and that was because in the big games he'd say, we don't expect to win, so we just hold out. And in the other games, like you said, it was just a stressful, awful time in terms of it was just boring to watch. But I agree, the Marco Silva days were dark. Certainly losing to like Sheffield United at the start of last season when they hadn't won a game, losing to Villa when they hadn't won a game, losing to Norwich when they were nailed on relegated. Even Fulham, the back end of the season before, when we were in great form, going away to Fulham, who'd already been relegated and getting embarrassed.
That was it. Yeah, remember
it was
that.
Like,
it was
what's going on here? What even? But, it's better days now. We've got Carlo. We lost that game. We're still top of the league. Have faith. We've got to be confident. We've got to have faith. And then we look.
Yeah, that's to say. Other teams had bad weeks as well.
That's it. Arsenal.
You know what I mean? So yeah. Well, look at that. I mean, if you look at Leicester before the Arsenal game, they got beat twice on the bounce, didn't they?
Yeah.
So listen, it's a long season. I wouldn't get disheartened too much.
Spot on.
We might, if we're still there with 5-10 games to go, then start sweating. It's squeaky bum time, but it's just a long season to go. Yeah,
that's it. A long way. Long way. Chris says the problem with the last game was the midfield. Can't disagree. He also says Gomez didn't have a good game against Liverpool, but he was missed against Southampton. Gylfi Sigurdsson pushing upfield instead of dropping deep and progressing the ball. I don't know who's the better out of the both pair of them, to be honest, at the moment.
I wouldn't necessarily say we missed him, because I don't think he brings anything to the side, personally. I thought, listen, Sigurdsson got brought in for a reason.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean?
He was given his chance.
He just never took it. So that's you might see Gomez against Newcastle. Or let's hope you see something imaginative and we go with Gordon, Allen, Decore in the middle, and you see Nkunku on the... You know what I mean? You'd love to, because that'll give us a boost.
Yeah. Definitely. Something different is what's needed, isn't it? Tom says prediction for Newcastle, Cam. I'm going 3-1. Tom's going 1-0. Nice little counter-attacking goal.
Sam Allardyce, yes.
Sam Allardyce style. Hey, listen, if we win, especially after that yesterday, I'll take a win. We'll finish it up there then. If you have enjoyed the live stream, please do hit that like button. Really do appreciate all of the support. Big thanks to everybody in the live comments as per usual. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Big thanks to Tom for joining us as per usual. I'm sure you'll see Tom on within this week or next week, very soon. Anything to say before we finish up, Tom?
Yannick Pom Balassi, all the best. Up the toffees.
There you go. Up the toffees. I can't really add much to that, to be fair. Get your pom-poms out.
Listen, I'd love that to catch on. That'd be great. Start getting into his comments. Yannick Pom Balassi.
He'd be like, what's going on here?
I know, yeah. Who's this idiot?
Yeah, he'd be like, I don't know what's this? No context whatsoever, just mad tweets flying left, right and centre.
If anyone can get like a sort of picture within like a cheerleading outfit and he's doing all this, that'd be fantastic.
It definitely will be a laugh. But it'd be even funnier. Like I said, the comments I got last week, and I just like, has Yannick got his pom-poms and his tutu yet? And I looked at it and I thought, it took me about 5 minutes to think, what's that about? And then it clocked, and I just couldn't stop laughing after it clocked. Slim says, alright lads, still top of the league. We got pampered by Leeds and we have Southampton next week. I'm crying into my hands at the moment as a Villa fan. Yeah, listen, we are, and it was a big chance with Villa losing for us, but again, it's very early on. Eugene says Marcel Brand's future meeting in January, and Ian says evening lads, still top of the league. I've already forgotten about the Gylfi and Iwobi shower of shit show in Carlo we trust. Well, we certainly do. Listen, big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Big thanks to everybody in the live comments as per usual. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get involved with as many of them as possible. I'll be back live on Wednesday 5:15 PM, something like that, and we'll be talking more about Everton. We may talk more about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and have we basically left him isolated with no replacement. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, and we'll see you soon. There we go, done and dusted.